to thank Mary Ann Thompson-Frenk for her leadership and friendship and the support that she offers to all of us here in the room in connecting us together. I think that is what we lack so much in our culture these days. We have found our silos, and we've been funneled into our silos, separate from one another. And I think Mary Ann has an intuitive understanding of the need to cross those false barriers, and you have always. And so it's a real privilege. And I wonder with Mary Ann, I just wonder with her when I talk to people, like, she is such a good person and an authentic person, and it's just wonderful to have that. And her husband Joshua isn't so bad himself, you know. So I want to just have a little round of applause.
Oh, Josh.
Thank you for coming tonight. I am looking forward to seeing some film clips and some creative products that I have not seen yet, and I'm eager to see them. I've been holding off for tonight. I've been held off, actually. I wanted to see these, but tonight is the night. So we are proud to have Memnosyne as our partner, and with Future 500, with EarthX, with Solution Citizen, with In This Together, and with all of the other groups that have come together for the purpose of moving us beyond our industrial, separating, siloing culture to a richer culture in which we begin to appreciate all of the gifts that nature expresses through us and begin to anticipate the gifts that are coming as we connect with each other and discover that we're part of a larger process and part of a larger creative process ourselves that will come into being as we allow it to. So thank you all for being here. Mary Ann, should I?
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, right now, we live in a world that is so disconnected sociologically and psychologically, and yet we are more interdependent than we ever have been before. You know, our environment, our economy, is so integral to our survival, to the point that what one person on one side of the planet makes a decision about, invests in, manufactures, consumes, to eat, to wear, is directly affecting the life and livelihood and well-being of someone on the other side. And this reflects itself in the news that we see every day, and it can seem really overwhelming. And then there's a myriad of voices that don't get to be heard. And they're the ones that are often trampled on, whether it's someone in a red line district here in the United States, or a Native American reservation here in the United States, or a third world country elsewhere. We see reports of mass migration, and we see the racism that ensues in response to that. And we rarely hear people talk about solutions. We rarely hear about, if you don't want migration, make the livelihood more possible where people are coming from. We never talk about how investment is a solution, as a tool. We demonize finance, and we stop thinking about it as a hammer. I can kill you with it, or I can build something with it. Let me take on the responsibility. So tonight, what we want to really go into are what is working in the world. Because some of the times you get numb, almost a psychological callous to, this is happening, that's happening, the world's coming to an end. There's only so much till you stop feeling it, and you get overwhelmed. But when you know that there are people doing real things in this world, it's uplifting. So tonight we're going to show you someone local, Marcus K. Russell, who is doing incredible work in which he has connected people in red line districts, often food deserts, and use the need to feed themselves to get youth to come in and learn STEM, when STEM was basically X'd out in areas that are largely black and brown communities. He brought in aquaponics, robotics, and coding and put it together so kids came there to learn how to feed themselves and their families, but in the process got stronger at STEM. Tonight we have Tania Arrayales Rodriguez, who is the only person I know of who's actually done a development project in the middle of a rainforest that increased the species that were going extinct, both plant and animal. And we're going to be listening to Theo Wilson, who has done something incredible, which he will go in more depth with you about, but it is really focusing on these kinds of stories. So we want to give you a taste of the kind of stories he's profiling, and he's going to show you later this evening a little glimpse at the one that he just finished doing a recording of. So all of these people are exciting, and I look forward to seeing how Bill pulls out these stories. Thank you, Bill.
Where should we begin?
How y'all doing? I'm Marcus X. My name is Marcus Russell. I'm founder and president of Commissaries Very Necessary, which is a nonprofit organization that's been in Dallas for about 6 years. I call us like a pre-COVID organization because we started like a year before COVID hit, which was almost, I believe, like the universe wanted this organization to start around that time because we were an organization that went to underserved communities to bring health fairs, food drives, and different things to the community at the time. And so we did a lot of great things during that time with the North Texas Food Bank. They reached out to us after they saw us, what we were doing in these hard-to-reach communities. And they started the first MOU agreement with a nonprofit where you didn't have to pay for the food with us. So a lot of times when you see North Texas Food Bank giving out the free food to nonprofits, that's because of what Commissaries Very Necessary did during the pandemic. And during that process, during that time, I started the NatureSTEAM Learning Academy, which is a hydroponics, aeroponics, robotics, gardening, engineering, kind of all mixed in together. And the reason that I wanted to start that because I know we're heading into a future where robotics and engineering is very important, and a lot of land is being taken up. So a lot of farming is not going to be happening like it is now in the future. So indoor gardening, I thought would be very important for children to learn. So it mixes the engineering with the agriculture. We also build gardens with the kids and different things like that. And it's been very successful. Dallas College reached out to us after we started the program through a grant from SocialWise, which is an organization that was funded by Mark Cuban and some more organizations. And with that money, I was able to start the NatureSTEAM Learning Academy in Dallas at a private high school. When Dallas College asked us to come save their text prep program, which I had kind of built since 2016, working for Dallas College, we came back, we saved the program. We're doing very well, and it's really been a great thing in the city of Dallas because we have kids from all over the city. We got access to each college. So we have children that come from mediocre backgrounds to children that may live in Highland Park or in North Richland Hills to Lancaster to Oak Cliff. So we have a variety of backgrounds of children from each race, each community. And what we do, we bring them together with these programs, and it makes them kind of like brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And so when these kids from different backgrounds, different sides of towns, different economic background grow up together, they help each other. Mm-hmm. And not only we just are building future environmentalists, future engineers, future farmers, we're building a family with these children. And so we have a lot of kids that now work for MIT and different organizations because we've been doing it so long. I know there's some other people up here. I don't want to just talk our ear off. I got some more stuff I can say. But you can go to CIVN.org, check us out. It's Commissaries Very Necessary. My wife, DeAshley, right there, she's a great support. I appreciate Mary Ann for everything she's done supporting this organization because she knows we're moving in righteousness and we're moving the right way. So we just want to support Dallas, do some great things in Dallas, and really bring up some children because we believe the children are the future, and I know everybody else in this room does too.
Tremendous. I just want to acknowledge the spirit that comes from within you that drives you to do this. It's extraordinary to see it and to kind of, if you're like me, you kind of watch yourself, I bet, just wondering what you're going to do next.
You know, to be honest, I got this from my mother. As a child, my mother would take me to homeless shelters. She would take me to drug rehab facilities. She would take me to her prison fellowship ministry She was a nurse at the VA hospital for 40 years. She created the health fairs at the VA hospital for free. She did it for 20 years, and she let somebody else do it. And so when I look back, why do I do health fairs? Why do I do food drives? Why do we be helping the homeless people? You know, why are we doing this and that? It's because, you know, I had a parent. My father's a Vietnam veteran. He was very influential in my life too. But my mother did a lot of community activism. And I saw her do it as a child, and she brought me with her. It was only later on in life that I realized, like, you know what, I was doing this as a kid. And so, you know, so it's very important for parents to show their kids what they're doing and what they can be involved in. It doesn't matter if you're a woman and you have a male son, he can get some education from you. You can inspire him, and vice versa, or both parents. So just shout out to my mom, Shirley Russell, for inspiring me to be who I am to this day, helping people and just striving for the best.
And doing that when you're a child, I think, is such a gift to a child. I know some parents want to protect their children from the rougher edges of life and maybe not see those things, but I think that engaging children at an early age and guiding them through some things that are wrong and helping them to see how they can make them right is an empowering experience from the very beginning. And look what it's done with you.
Yes. I would say my mother and father are totally opposites. But my father is a Vietnam vet from East Texas, and he was a very strong man, very stern man. He's 82 years old, strong right now. And he gave me one side of me, which is the no fear side. I'm going to tackle this problem, I'm going to come with solutions, and I'm going to solve it. And, you know, my mother gave me the heart to have compassion. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing in society right now with the way America is going. I know we are saying, oh, this bad has happened, this bad has happened, but I see a lot of compassion right now from people. A lot of people who weren't compassionate. They're compassionate about something right now. We're not in a society where everybody's just being quiet. No, everybody has something to say. Everybody's speaking from the heart. People are compassionate, even if they think they're wrong or they think they're right. Perception is everything, but it starts with a passion. And everybody I see right now, it's a fire being lit in people. And I hope that fire leads to more righteousness. And I believe it is. I see a lot of good things coming in the future for the world and for society. I know it's hard to see right now with a lot of bad images and programming that they're sending your way, but best believe if they're pushing all that, something really good is about to happen for everyone.
Thank you. And Tania, I want to hear the exciting things that have happened in your last year, as well as just a capstone to what you've been doing for a long time.
Hi everybody, my name is Tania Arrayales Rodriguez, and I am an architect that just finished a project and I would say I started as a vision, as a dream, and now it's fully in completion and going into market. This is in a hospitality area. I designed a 26,000 square feet boutique hotel with principles of regenerative architecture, modular architecture, and green and sustainable principles.
Regenerative agriculture.
Regenerative architecture is regenerative design. Is what it's the principle of creating something that will just be in tune with nature, and it will just give more into the land or into the culture or into the full circle than a development that is not taken into those principles could. So the idea is to create something that is positive impact by designing everything, and I spent years of my life filming the ecosystem. I was able to create different designs depending on the migration of animals and also in consideration of the culture. In that case, we have the Mayan culture as a first element of importance on that specific land. So as an architect, for me, one of the priorities to develop any ideas that could transform the lives of generations to come is it's based on whatever we can manifest in the conscious level, and we can create in this dimension. Okay, it will 100% create the outcome for society. So I have also a lot of desire to practice curanderismo and some other spiritual practices that gave me some depth in I would say in my spiritual life. Yeah. I would say. Yeah. So I had a privilege to go to different areas in the world to see how the old knowledge, was applied to different areas, like big cities like Machu Picchu in Peru, Stonehenge in Britain, let's say any other, obviously Egypt. Yeah. The masterpieces of all the old Asian knowledge that nowadays can create a path for us to understand how we can bring that knowledge and impact our present in a good way. Yeah. Through that and incorporating solutions that are already here, okay, it's not like reinventing the wheel. We already have those solutions in front of us, but the truth is that many professionals will not choose those for a couple things. One of them being investment related. It's sometimes we don't have the right people supporting the project.
Yeah. Well, just tell us a little bit just about the project. And you have a lovely friend here who could use your. Come on up.
All right, let's do.
So I'm a mother, and so part of all this is coming from a place of raising this generation, right? So my daughter is very attached to me, and the reason is because we haven't separated ourselves. But I'll have to say, we traveled to Costa Rica to hike the cloud forest. We traveled to the Patagonia to see the glaciers and spend there doing exploration, 10 miles, 15 miles, and Maya Luna was with me all the way. I had someone who helped me carry it all the way. So my children, and also we went to the Dolomites to explore. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's important to involve all the kids at young age and understand why it's so precious to do what we do. Yeah. Okay, so she knows that we are there to protect the trees by the use of modular architecture. That's one principle, right? Yeah. By the use of bioconstruction, which is also the choosing of the materials and the elements of the wind, the sun, and the specific location of the building itself, to offer the bioclimate that is needed in order for us to reduce energy consumption. So every single area of the design will matter, and every single piece of the design will tell a story that children can recognize. Yes. So she knows that it's special. We have some trees that are 120 years old. We have some trees that are like 85 years old, and they were collected for the company, one company that was used to do gum. So they took the swap and all that. So they have the scars specifically in the tree. So it's a lot story, and the area is precious. Where I built it, we have the beach 3 minutes away, cenotes, we have lagoons, we have the second biggest reef, past Australia. So all this is wonders. All these are nature wonders that it's our responsibility to protect and to care. And the only way that we will be able to care about the waters, the only way that we will be able to care about the community and even economics on the, like the circular economy and everything that we could offer as a part of the development is to do a conscious development.
Yeah.
So I won an award on eco-conscious architecture, and I think that the developments on the earth, because I'm pro-development, I like developments, but I can tell you for a fact that I went to Thailand before plastic introduction and after plastic introduction, and it's so much, even the culture, even the eyes on the people change once pollution is there. Yeah, it's different. It's a story. It's a told story. I went to Indonesia before the introduction of Coca-Cola and after, and in the very, very Virgin Islands, So I have the story to see everything through, I'm a rock climber, so I like to go places just to explore and to hike and rock climb. And I do remember that when I went to explore those areas, and I found the beauty, and then years later as I went back to it, I was like, this is definitely something I need to do with. And I choose architecture as a vehicle. And then I went to the University of Texas and I did an MBA on is Master's in Business and Administration. So that helped me to understand a little bit of the world of financing and the world of how sometimes, even if you have a talent person with the biggest heart ever and you want to do well in the world, we still need the other side of the equation, which is activators, people who can help us to get to that and that they truly believe in the projects as a detonator of a change, regardless if, it may just take a little bit more time because the design had to be thought, maybe a little bit of extra economics. So, yeah.
You need all the types. You need all the different kinds of visionaries and visioning. You need all the different kinds of professionals that can make things, that can bring those visions into reality, piece by piece and system by system. Theo, tell us a little bit about your story and where it's come up for now as we begin the process of rebirthing Earth.
I sit between giants, You guys have done such amazing things. And I'm humbled by y'all's accomplishments. Like, this is amazing. Like, thank you for being you in the world. My journey's been more internal. Fighting depression, seeing the negative, being driven into cycles of madness because of it, and then finding the inner peace that comes with understanding that there is real light, grounded in actionable hope. And that's why I began to write the poetry that I write, and the poetry opened doors for me to be a speaker. And I found that when I came to EarthX, I didn't know how much I needed this community, because there was this hopelessness that just sat in my chest, and it became background. It just existed. And before I knew it, my eyes are lighting up and I'm finding a new purpose and a new path. And so, build a social media following. I know that attention is power. So why not water the solutions with attention? And having had the show on television before, I've got relationships with folks in A&E and History Channel and all the non-fiction genre broadcasters, and I said, let me bring something of value. Maybe I'm not the one who builds the things. Maybe I'm not the one who plants the trees or makes the gardens. But darn it, I can tell a pretty decent story. And so, narrative is power. I learned that as a spoken word artist. Narrative shifts the lens in which we view the world. It takes something that is mundane and makes it divine. And my gift with that, I want to share you with the world. I want to share you with the world. And so I set out like, okay, so what the heck am I going to do? And I had the idea for Rebirth Earth at last year's EarthX. And so I wanted to focus on whales because I'd never seen one. found myself with my wife. We go out there and we seeing blue whales, and I make a little episode, and David cut it together for me, a guy on our team. And I'm pushing it out there, and Cassidy was like, you know you need a pitch deck, right? And so Cassidy writes this pitch deck, and before I know it, I see our friend Ricky McWhorter on a leadership circle call, and I was like, Bill, what's that guy's number? I got to talk to that guy, right? And Ricky McWhorter works with a group called Water for West Africa, and I just asked, like, are you guys doing regenerative? Are you guys doing sustainable? And he's like, oh yeah. And before I know it, there's this story that is just perfect for it. And I was like, can I go? Can I go? And like, Ghana at first seemed impossible to me. And then I realized, no, it's not impossible for the people who do the possible all the time. And so telling this story is just one. But we tell it in a way that talks about Rebirth Earth, not from the idea specifically of us just rebirthing the planet, but through rebirthing the planet, we rebirth ourselves. And that, to me, the human story of regeneration, the human story of us coming alive again, is my story. So, with that being said, God, being a dad made me so sensitive. Our partners from Water for West Africa and Stories Matter Media and Global Shea Alliance brought together something that I think is really, really beautiful and impactful. And I'll let the story speak for itself, but one thing that I can tell you, and I'll end with this, you guys' stories matter. And it matters that they get out into the world. And if I've got a gift that can help ease that path, I'm going to use it for y'all, for us, and the planet.
We're proud and pleased to be able to provide a channel as well for you to tell those stories and to get the word out. And it's inspiring to feel the passion of an idea and a vision that wants to be expressed, and it's chosen you and you to express through. So it is an honor to be here with you. Mary Ann, I hear we have some programming maybe to take a look at.
We do, but before we go there, I just want to invite each of you, just to put it in perspective who we have sitting here. Marcus started something that was regional, but he just got recognized at the United Nations for the work that he did. And he's been recognized by the Texas Sierra Club for the work that he's done. Tania Arrayales Rodriguez was recognized by the Mexican Senate for being the leading female equal architect in Mexico and the leading architect for eco-developments, conscious developments in the Yucatan. And one of the things that happened there, and I'm going to share one example and ask Tania you to go in depth on something specific, and I'd like to go to each of you to give a tangible example of this work. I know, Tania, because you took 6 months to research what was endangered in the rainforest. And to put things in perspective, when you go in this rainforest, people typically raise it to the ground and then put a big slab of concrete, and then people go there because they want to see toucans, and then there are no more toucans because there are no more trees. So, Tania went in there and spent 6 months taking, all the data analysis of what is endangered in plant and animal, and truly had a resurgence of those endangered animals. But one of the things you also did, Tania, was you looked at ancient technology like Chikung. And I'd love for you to share that with people. And then I'd love, each of you, I know you don't want to go in too much detail, but Theo, if you could share one example of something that you think is making a difference, if people could learn from it and magnify it, the power of it. And the same thing with you, Marcus. So I'd like to just go around and give people examples. Can you pass it to me?
Yes. First of all, we have data of how the land was for not only my development, but actually the entire blocks that were not developing at the time, and now through 5 years of full development and a full impact on that area. Beta Tulum, which is the name of the hotel, has the species came back to us because obviously you need food in the land in order for the birds to come back. I encourage everyone, if they want to come and travel to Vita Tulum, just DM me. We are on Instagram at Vita Tulum. And you be my guest, and you see with your own eyes, because also I have to say, you can actually do beautiful designs. I specialize in high-end residences. So I specialize in luxury construction. So you can match it. You can have the dream house and also make it eco-friendly and do it with water solutions, so you can actually reuse, you can harvest, you can also do energy planning. So one of the great things that I have is the engineering on the windows, so the windows can create that buffer that without air conditioner, you will have at least 10 degrees less between one and the other one. And this is cross ventilation, passive ventilations. A lot of these exercises are there from Asian cultures, especially one that I love, that I implemented. In the Mayan culture, the construction is, it's based on local materials. This is part of the solutions for bioconstruction, right? So you select materials from the region, and then that way you don't have to spend a lot of money on transportation or everything, all the logistic that goes around. So there is a certification that you can get as an architect in a building based on the resource or where you're getting the materials, right? So the whole supply chain is so important for this type of projects. One of the projects that I did within the hotel was the use of a chukum. This is technology that was already used by the Mayan civilization 5,000 years ago, right? So they used to use this material to prevent many issues that you can have around a house in the middle of the jungle, starting with pest control, mold, or any sorts of water issues that could cause respiratory problems because of the mold or of the fungus or anything. So this is they harvest this from the tree and they cook it in a way and mix it with other plants from the region, and it's 100% natural. Then when they have this kind of I would say sandy feeling type of material, they mix it with some other sascav and stucco and make one amazing product that they put on the floors, they put on the walls, in the ceilings, everywhere where they don't want any animals to get in or any other, it's just like waterproof, is more resistance, and it's natural. And chemical free, obviously, not toxic. And this, you go to the very in depth of the communities, of the Mayan communities, and every single house has this. So this is one of the examples in that we as an architects that are in the modern times, we can use this knowledge from our communities, and we can reintroduce the knowledge directly into doing our decorations and our finishings. So working with the earth directly, construction that tells a story because it's coming in community with the earth, with Mother Earth, and at the same time is recognizing the importance of cultural and Asian knowledge. So that will be one of them.
Would you say an example of something positive and productive that can give you hope?
That you've seen people achieve?
Oh yeah, the Great Green Wall of Africa, man. Like, wow. Stopping the expansion of the Sahara. I didn't know you could plant stuff in the desert. Like, I didn't know that. My understanding was that it would all die. Well, no, plants live there, but it's about how you plant it. And in Burkina Faso right now, they've raised the water table to an absurd level. The Green Belt movement in Kenya with Wangari Maathai ended up planting 30 million trees before she passed away, raising the water table and ending communicable diseases and really elevating the quality of life. I see humans as a keystone species. This is what we're actually supposed to be doing. We are stewards of this beautiful spinning space garden that we live on. And the Great Green Wall of Africa is one of those examples of the impossible seeming being done and underway right now. And when I talk to very intelligent people, they don't know about it. And we got to change that.
One thing that comes in mind to me was in 2019 when I started Commissaries Very Necessary, the Poor People's Campaign and Climate Reality Project reached out to Commissaries Very Necessary because they saw the work we were doing during the pandemic, and a lot of big organizations like theirs were shut down. So they reached out and they said, do you want to do a environmental bus tour? At the time, I was not an environmentalist. I didn't really know what that was about. I was more of a human rights activist and a civil rights activist. And so when the Poor People's Campaign came to me and they really started it under Reverend Barber and Al Gore's Over Climate Reality Project, they started kind of explaining to me what environmentalism was about. And I started kind of relating environmentalism to the problems we were having in our underserved communities. And so they got with me, they said, let's do a bus tour. So we called it the Ecological Devastation Bus Tour, and they asked me and my organization to find communities and places that had been where the EPA had Superfund sites. And they was explaining to me what it was and everything. So through the investigation, we found some areas. We found lane plating, which was in Oak Cliff, which had been poisoning the community for 100 years. People had been dying of cancer. Right in the community where I work, we found Sand Branch, Texas with the water problem. We went back to West Dallas to explain what the problem was out there with the lead poisoning. We also went to Shingle Mountain. And so we got people from all North Dallas, South Dallas. We got kids, we got people from the communities that are being infected. That's what they asked us to do. And Al Gore and them, they paid for the bus, and that was our first ecological devastation tour in 2019. It was a great tour. We went to all these areas that we had found and really exposed what was going on with these companies and exposing the city and the EPA about them not handling the problems correctly. And so after the first tour, we did a second tour, and we implemented it with the Nature STEAM Learning Academy because I had the academy now. And so we would take the kids on the bus and through this showing them what's going on in their community, giving them an understanding of when you have lead poison, chromium poison, the air is poison, how can it affect your mind state in your community and how you think and how you love and how you hate and your anger and different things that go on. So then we did a third tour. And by the time now, we don't got nowhere to go because we exposed all of them and the EPA has shut down all these spots and they're all gone now. And so I think that was a great thing to be a part of that. Shingle Mountain is gone. They got rid of that last year. Lane plating is gone because we put pressure on the EPA. They said they went in there and the air was orange. But we had already been telling them for 3 or 4 years that something was wrong over there. That when you go through there now, that spot is knocked down. Right now, we have a $12 million plan to get water into Sand Branch, Texas. Today, I was supposed to be at the Dallas Mavericks documentary about Sand Branch, Texas that they did based off my documentary about Sand Branch, but I came here today to be with my good friend Mary Ann. And so, but that's one thing I could say is that we actually did something and those places are gone. And so we have at least 5 places that are gone now in Dallas. They don't exist anymore because of the attention we brought on them with the documentaries we did with our bus tours.
We wouldn't be able to round this out without my asking quickly. I know I'm putting you on the spot, Bill, but I don't know anyone else that can say they got ExxonMobil and Greenpeace to actually come to an agreement. And I would say that is one of those amazing achievements. And since the theme is what is working in the world, I would love for you just to share a little bit about that.
I think what works is when we begin to think like nature. And, you know, I came to this gradually, having grown up very early on concerned about the fate of the planet and what was going to happen. And with an entrepreneurial nature that had caused me, by the time I was 7, to start my first successful little business. I had some little businesses when I was 5 and 6 that didn't take off somehow, but by the time I got to 7, I had it figured out. So I started a little candy store, using as my capital supply Halloween. So got my little stash, went on the block a couple more times, got some extra Halloween candy, sold it. With the money, bought more, sold that. With the money, bought more, sold that. With the money, expanded, bought a refrigerator, bought a freezer, expanded into our family's atrium area, had a whole, we became the soda shop, for the local community. We had schools, in the neighborhood. The students found out about this candy store. They commandeered the bus driver. They forced him to establish an unofficial stop in front of our house so the kids would get off in the morning and spend their lunch money on me. I realized, my gosh, I have all this power. All I have to do is do things and fail, and succeed. Have to fail, and then succeed. And so that was a tremendous lesson. But as I was doing that, worried about the environment, noticing that I was causing litter in the neighborhood. Maybe I wasn't causing it, but I was giving people an excuse to litter and waste. And I was selling beverages in these containers, and I sold in refillable bottles, but they were discontinuing them, and I thought, well, this isn't good. So I started, first of all, my dad and I would go around the neighborhood and pick up the litter, and it just kind of, as a thing to do. And then I established deposits on my containers. I thought, well, listen, I'll make a secret little marking, and I'll charge a deposit, and people will return these things, and I'll take them down to my high school, and they'll recycle them and smash the hell out of them and recycle them. And so I realized, okay, I can earn money, and I can also do good things at the same time. So I started a political business at that point, and thought, well, I want to support certain candidates, so I'm going to start a business where I'm making campaign buttons for the candidates that I support. And I would manufacture these, or work with a manufacturer to make them, and I'd sell them to the campaigns for below my cost. And the way to do that and to make money was to make some extras of them and then sell the extras to collectors. Because I'd have a very high margin on the one when I sold it to collectors, and then I could sell the basic stock. So I had these national campaigns that were buying from me. They had no idea I was at that point 10 years old, and supplying their national campaigns. But it was, I thought, wow, you can make money doing good things and do even better. And so, I kept this up and realized the power that the market system has to do good if you understand it and can actually harness it to your benefit. So as I decided that we needed to have not just my little store with deposits, but have the entire state of California have deposits on beverage containers, I thought, well, how can we get that done? And worked with a group, Californians Against Waste, a dozen people or so that managed, to, as a group, less than the number of people in this room, right now decided we would put a ballot measure on the state ballot and try to get a bottle bill passed so that everybody paid deposits on beverage containers. We were beaten badly in that campaign by our opponents, who outspent us massively. But I expected that we would be beaten because I'd seen these campaigns before, and I knew what was coming, and I won the office lottery for guessing the final vote. So I was the only one willing to say we were going to lose, and here's what we were going to lose by. So afterwards, I was not as depressed as others because I saw it as a step in the process, not as, oh my God, we just pulled everything out and we did the almost impossible and now we've lost. Thought, well, no, we didn't lose. We didn't win the campaign, but now we have 35,000 supporters. We can go back to them and do it again. So we went back, did it again, tried to get something to the legislature. Of course, we got crushed again in the legislature, that I thought, well, maybe I should be talking to my opponents. And I had a very stern conversation with myself in the car one night. There was one of those epiphany. It wasn't an epiphany night. It was a night where I said to myself, I yelled at myself, and I said, "You're going to do this one more time. You are going to do this one more time, and you are going to pull out the stops, and you're going to advance a better version of the bottle bill, and you're going to do this and this and this." And I envisioned exactly what I was going to do in the car that night, and then I went to work doing it, and contacted my opponents, Bill Coors from Coors Brewing Company, and others. I would just pop into the companies that had opposed us and said, we're going to do that campaign again, but before we do the campaign, I just want to understand where you're coming from and, why you oppose and what we can do to make it, less appealing for you to oppose. And Bill Coors told me, well, we actually don't oppose you, and he pulled out this little paper that he had written with someone else at the company on how to do a bottle bill cheaper and better, which he couldn't take anywhere because as part of the industry, he as a CEO was constrained, couldn't support that without his customers, the retailers, stopping him. And so I realized, okay, so Bill Coors, this billionaire, can't do this, but I can, because I can go to the retailers and persuade them to come aboard. So I went to the retailers, and and it turned out that the one retailer who was a religious conservative evangelical Christian, the kind of guy that people would say you can never work with them. They're on the other side. They're way too conservative. They're never going to care about this. Well, it turned out that as an evangelical Christian, he was a guy who had a strong sense of ethics and morality, and felt that his side was being unethical in their campaign practices against us. He'd rather work with us. And so we did a deal with him. We rewrote the law so it would cost less money. So it was gentler to the marketplace, which means it was gentler to people as well. And he stepped in when August Bush and the big brewing companies and so on tried to stop us again. He stepped in and said, we don't have to sell your product. We want to, but we don't have to sell your product. And they got the message and got aboard and became allies of ours, and we got the damn thing passed with Republicans and Democrats joining together. And once we had that thing passed, then we had it in law, and it has been, gradually growing and expanding, and we just surpassed 500 billion, cans and bottles and computers and electronics and all that stuff that's recycled because we put the system in place. And it happened because a few people decided that they were going to get that done and couldn't be stopped. And whenever, the water hit a rock, decided they were not just going to sit there, but they were going to flow around the rock and flow under and over and whatever, and they're just going to keep flowing. And I think that kind of spirit, that understanding that came from very early, as you had your experiences, very early being allowed by my gracious parents to have an illegal store operating in a residential neighborhood, and the good judgment of the police to not shut me down, even though they could have. Having young people able to do that empowered me for life, and empowered so many other people, and I live for the opportunity to awaken that potential in other people, and that's why I do the work that I do, and I love the work that I do. I feel like it's taking an aspect of life that snuck its way into and through me, and now I'm able to bring that to others as well. So thank you. That was a longer answer than I expected, Marianne. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. It has really been a pleasure to have all these people up here. And as you all can see, the way it feels a little bit lighter when you know that there are people like this doing this work in the world, that are passionate about it, that are actively making a measurable, tangible difference. And the way that feels right now, the way it makes you feel good to know that there are people like this, that's exactly what Theo is hoping to bring to the masses. Because when people get entrenched, you feel stuck. In a few minutes, I'm going to invite all of you to go to the living room to see a taste of what Theo has just done. But before you do that, I would be remiss if I didn't share this with you. And this is an invitation for you all to participate should you want. You know, the Memnosyne Institute, as you can see by our logo, it's putting the world together like it's puzzle pieces, because we believe that the world has the answers and has the resources, but it takes a willingness and it takes empathy to be able to see out of another person's eyes to strategize for those answers, sustainable answers. And 2 years ago, we got 160 families out of the war zone in Sudan into safety in South Sudan. But you ended up having people just sitting in the dirt. And usually people take photographs and say, aren't I a great person? But then that's where it ends. And now you need an actual financial investment, because it's not realistic to think that philanthropy can care for their great-grandchildren. You know, to me, success will one day be when they're the philanthropists. So what I'm looking at is, how do we make that change? Well, we have international chapters in Asia and Latin America, in the UK, which serves not just the UK, but as we joke, everywhere the UK once invaded, which covers a lot of the world. But and that's where we did the work with the Sudan through. And we worked with a friend of ours named Emmanuel Jal, who was a young child that was kidnapped by the age of 4 from his bedroom and taken out, and had an AK-47 in his hands all the way until the age of 12. During that time, the people would put drugs in the food to keep him addicted to it. And, you know, and as well as the other kids. And if a kid died, they would say, with love in their heart, to their friends, I hope you eat me so you don't starve tomorrow. And when one of his friends said that to him, he said, thank you. And then that night, he looked at the stars. He said, God, if you can keep me from eating my friend, I will dedicate my life to you. And he can't explain it. But the next day he woke up, he had no desire to eat his friend, no desire to eat the drugs, you know, and the food that he was supposed to be addicted to. The people that watched the kids said, oh, he'll be back. They'll always come back because they're addicted. He never went back. But now he's a very successful hip hop and rap artist. And a lot of kids, you know, they like the rhythm. They're not even paying attention to the words. But there's a reason our ancestors had rhythm and drums, is that your subconscious does take in those words. And so he's putting out this positive stuff. But when he was a kid starving, he learned that if you mix certain herbs together, you could have energy. And now those are being sold as an energy mixture at Whole Foods. But he came to us because he said he had negotiated for an opportunity down in Sudan where you have 4 acres of land for $25 for the refugees. Now, you might as well tell these refugees it's $1 million. So he asked me to come forward and cover that. And we were looking at it, but then one of our board members, Lori Andrew Stone, said, you know, there's a way you can make this work and become sustainable and keep growing. And he pointed out, if you bring in investors, and then you bring in somebody who can provide refrigerated storage. And we have Baroness Sandeep Verma, you know, whose group called Nexus Green. They provide refrigerated storage. In Africa, 65% of the food rots before it's ever sold. That's sweat equity, it just disappears. So with refrigerated storage, they would be able to get 65% of their sweat equity back. Now, if you think of that, somebody who invests in that, by that $25 for that land, they can now pay back, because they're selling actual food they wouldn't have otherwise. They can pay that $25 probably less than 4 years. And a person gets an amazing return on investment. We get a percentage through UTF Holdings with my business partner, Kalu Ngormo, and I created to support Sustainable Development Goals. And a percentage gets donated to the Memnosyne Institute. So the way we're looking at this is this will grow. And the money that comes, you can get more refugees out. The money that stays in UTF Holdings, you can create more acres of land. And right now, we have refugees all around Africa, and some are starting up in Ethiopia, where they have about 45,000 acres, dollars worth of land that they're putting out there. And we will be able to basically grow sorghum and other things there. Now, for those that are unaware of it, because of the war between the Ukraine and Russia, a bridge was cut off. That was the main way that the continent of Africa got grain. So this is like a pre-World War I scenario, because most first world countries are either aligned with Ethiopia or Egypt. So if you don't want a World War III, we have to help the continent of Africa get its land. And as I get its grain. And as I tell people, even if you're the biggest sociopath and all you care about is yourself, World War isn't a good thing for you. So it's financially important for us to do this. But I wanted to give you an idea of, this is the kind of work people are doing in this world, and it is something that I'm so proud to be aligned with all these wonderful individuals. And as people get wins, more and more will be highlighted. And so that's why I really would love for you all, when we're finished here, and I'll let Bill sign off, but I want you to stay and see what Theo has brought together, because it's just one example of real impact that's being made.
Well, thank you. I am so eager to see this film that I don't want to delay it any further, but I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank Ann Thompson-Frenk for the kind invitation and the support always to all of these causes that you have invested yourself in. And for those of you who are interested in taking some of your own energy and supporting the next phases of these projects, please see this as an opportunity. There's nothing more satisfying, I think, than to use your energy to power something that wouldn't have happened otherwise without it. And what you leave behind is there forever because of the change that you've made. So we all have that opportunity. We can all choose how to do that, and we'll have that opportunity at every moment, but right now